Hello, my name is Nancy Konarski, and today I will be going over the ascending spinal cord tracts of the nervous system. So the main ones that we're going to be looking at today is the spinal thalamic tract, the posterior and dorsal column tracts, the spinocerebellar tract, and the spinal olivary tract, which these are their locations within the spinal cord for the ascending tracts. So for the spinothalamic tract, we are mostly looking at pain and temperature information. So you start out from the skin. It goes through the dorsal root ganglion of the spinal cord, goes into the spinal cord and synapses, so I'll mark those as a star, in the posterior horn of the spinal cord. Continues ascending, well, first it crosses into the actual spinothalamic tract and continues ascending through the tract via the pons, medulla, and midbrain until it eventually reaches the thalamus. Now in the thalamus it will go to the ventroposterolateral nuclei and it will synapse there as well. Afterwards the information is continued to be sent up to the somatosensory cortex, which is BA, or Brodmann's area 3, 2, and 1, which is also known as the post-central gyri. So then, this is spinal thalamic tract, which is pain and temperature. The next one that we're going to look at is the posterior, or also known as the dorsal column tract. Now this information is more crude touch, and proprioception, which is just position in space. So these actually start in the muscles instead of the skin. Passes through the dorsal root ganglion once more, goes to the spinal cord, and in the spinal cord it will actually synapse in the gracile or cuneate nuclei. So then it will also cross or decussate at the level of the medulla, and it will continue to go up via the medial lemniscus. So it continues going up through the medial lemniscus, through the pons and the midbrain, to once again synapse in the ventroposterolateral nuclei of the thalamus, continuing to the somatosensory cortex, which is once again Brodmann area 3, 2, 1, or also known as the post-central gyri. So we've gotten through 2 of them. There's 2 more. This one is the spinocerebellar tract. This is also crude touch and proprioception. Once again, this one starts in the muscle, goes through the dorsal root ganglion, into the spinal cord, synapses in the posterior horn. This one, instead of crossing, it just continues ipsilateral through the spinocerebellar tracts, through the medulla and the pons. Once it gets to the pons, though, it will go through the peduncles, which some of them will cross, some of them don't, and end up in the cerebellum, which is where it will synapse. And this is where that tract ends. This one does not go all the way to the cortex, to the cerebrum. So the only two synapses for this one are in the spinal cord, posterior horn, and then the cerebellum. And the final tract is the spino-olivary tract, which is also crude touch and proprioception. This one, once again, muscle, through the dorsal root ganglion, to the spinal cord, which will synapse in the posterior horn. This one will cross to the spino-olivary tract. And it will continue until it gets to the olivary nuclei, which is in the medulla. And it will synapse here as well. So it once again crosses, or decusates, goes into the peduncles, in the medulla, in the pons, once again, kind of like the spinocerebellum. And this one also, I'll just add it here, goes to the cerebellum and will synapse again in the cerebellum. This one's a little bit more messy. It crosses twice. So it crosses from the spinal cord, posterior horn to the spino-olivary tract, goes to the olivary nuclei and the medulla, crosses once more, and then goes up into the peduncles of the pons and to the cerebellum, where it synapses again. So once again, the only tracts that are pain and temperature is the spinothalamic. The other three are crude touch and proprioception. Hope this helps.